Hi everyone, welcome back to Lychee Pink Planner. No candles anywhere, just a very pale pot of tea because I like my tea quite pale. Okay, so I have a few things to kind of like go through with you all. First of all, I am running a new giveaway and it is to win this beautiful Rae Dunn mug. Is it a mug or a cup? I always forget which way around it is. A cup is a small one, a mug is a big one. There we go. How you need to enter to win this beautiful cup will be listed in the description bar below, and you may have already seen some posts on social media. Now please remember, you need to follow all parts of the giveaway to be eligible to enter. That includes subscribing to my channel on YouTube and then following me on Instagram and then leaving a comment so I know that you've followed through both. When it goes through to the final part of the giveaway, I need to cross-reference these to make sure that everyone has followed all of the rules to be able to then enter your name into the giveaway. Good luck everyone, and this will be winning its way to somebody quite soon. So, on to a little update for you all. Now, again, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you would have known about one of my typewriters and the history and the lady that owned the typewriter. Well, I contacted that lady. Her name is Joan, if you don't already know. And Joan has wrote back to me the most glorious letter. Now, there is some personal information within this letter, so I'm not going to be divulging everything. I just wanted to update and show everybody that I'd made contact with Joan and we've had a lovely little chat, and I'm going to be writing back to Joan again. She's told me some even more amazing stories. She's also telling me about life where she lives now in COVID and how it is very, very different. And the one thing that I can share with you is that Joan also really likes the shop Poundland. I mean, what a woman. What a legend Joan is. Thank you very much, Joan, for that. It was so wonderful receiving a piece of post. Joan also gave me some postcards of the area and of the church that is nearby to her. And it's just so precious, and it's going in my little folder that I've made about Joan the typewriter. I am just going to bring that into shot. It is going to reflect because of the ring light, so apologies, but unfortunately the front cover is highly reflective. But this is what I've made so far for Joan. I've laminated the instructions because they were quite fragile and obviously ripped in some places, but I've just laminated it to keep it as pristine as possible. So this should now protect it. And then this beautiful letter is all of the history and bits and pieces that I've wrote there about Joan. I laminated the receipt as well because again it was so thin. I was absolutely terrified to laminate the receipt. In my head it's like, it's a hot laminator, it's going to go through, it's going to burn, but no, it didn't. And again, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, it's probably going to reflect, but it did laminate. Whew, honestly, the heart rate, woo, went through the roof. We'll be contacting Harrods still. Obviously the team is furloughed. I've got the date in my planner, April the 12th. That is when I can officially contact Harrods to ask them to help me trace things. So as you can see, I've printed up as much as I can about the history and the family timeline. And then I have this absolutely beautiful letter from Joan that we're just keeping in there. And also her wartime memories from the PDF, which is just fabulous. And then any further communication I have with Joan is going to go in here as well. Okay, so there's a little update for you there. I'm going to have a quick sip of tea and then we're going to move on. This week I'm going to keep my spread relatively simple, and the reason being is that this week my spread is inspired by the film Hidden Figures, which came out in 2016. Now, it is a film based on actual events in 1961 and 1962 in America. The film centres around Katherine G. Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. These were three women who were a part of the space program in 1961. Not only were they working women within NASA, but they were also black women, which again, in the 1960s, this was relatively unheard of, especially when you compare that to the previous film, The Help, where they were doing more domestic roles. These women, on the other hand, were doing very academic roles. Now, if you've watched The Help and if you've watched Hidden Figures, you will also notice that there is a reoccurring actress, and that's Octavia Spencer. Now, in The Help, she plays Minnie Jackson, and in Hidden Figures, she plays Dorothy Vaughan. Now, there is many scenes in this film that I absolutely adore, and there is one particular scene where they make reference to pie, and I just think it's a beautiful little wink to Minnie's famous pie.
Dorothy, slice of pie?
I love one. Excuse me. You already have a slice of pie, Dorothy?
The story itself has many firsts. So you have Mary Jackson, who is one of the first women to attend an all-white school. She manages to obtain her degree to become an engineer. And you then have Katherine Johnson, who was an incredible mathematician, or what they would call a computer. And she was able to work out the figures for the space program. And the story itself is absolutely amazing. Now, this story does touch an awful lot on the segregation and the plight of the black community within America around the 1960s. There is obviously hints towards Martin Luther King in there as well. And the story itself is very powerful. Now, I'm going to try and plan as I talk about some bits and pieces. Like I say, I'm going to keep my spread nice and simple. I've got three book packs here from the Happy Planner. I've got the Homebody Seasons, which was designed for the Homebody dashboard. I think I'm going to solely use this, but I might then dip into the Farmhouse and then Farmhouse Big. So while I'm flicking through, I'm going to talk through some of the scenes which were very prominent to me. Now, at the beginning, there's a scene where the young Katherine is in a school and her parents are being spoken to about how clever she is and how academic she is, and how the school teachers, they wanted her to go to this different school and that they'd got funding and everything else. Oops, that didn't line up very well, did it? Oh, come on, don't rip. Don't rip. Yes. And see what she becomes.
Miss Coleman, why don't you solve the equation on the board?
We took up a collection amongst the teachers and such. It's not a lot, but it's enough to help get you settled in.
That's more than kind, Miss Sumner.
If the product of two terms is 0, then common sense says at least one of the two terms has to be 0 to start with. So if you move all the terms over to one side, you can put the quadratics into a form that can be factored, allowing that side of the equation to equal 0. Once you've done that, it's pretty straightforward from there.
In all my years of teaching, I have never seen a mind like the one your daughter has.
And then you see them at the next scene. You then see them in the car, and the car is broken down. And I absolutely adore I adore the scene where they finally get the car started. They've been pulled over by a police officer and they have a police escort, and that bit is just, I don't know why, that bit is just a bit magical to me.
You have identification on them?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. NASA, sir.
We do a great deal of the calculating, getting our rockets into space.
All three of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, officer.
I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
Well, hell, least I can do is give y'all an escort. I imagine you're running late to work.
Oh, no, sir. We wouldn't want to bother you.
That would be wonderful, officer.
Follow me.
I'm driving. Hurry up, Dorothy, before he changes his mind.
We're coming. Hold your horses.
Look at here, can you move like that? Gets me up, anxiety.
Yes! Mary, slow down. You should be quiet.
He said to follow him.
He didn't mean up behind.
No sleep. Dear Lord, I don't even know where to begin.
Oh, I'll tell you where to begin. 3 women are chasing a white police officer down the highway in Hampton, Virginia, 1961. Ladies, that there is a God-ordained miracle.
And tomorrow, I'm riding the bus.
However, there is then a very, very powerful scene later on, because even at NASA, you see the segregation very, very much. And Catherine is moved to a different site to work, to become a computer, working out the figures. And there's a scene where she first walks in and a gentleman assumes that she's a cleaner.
This wasn't emptied last night.
I'm sorry, I'm not the custodian.
Does he assume she's a cleaner because she's black and a woman? That's left for your interpretation. However, there's a very powerful scene where Al Harrison, who is played by Kevin Costner, no less, asks her, where does she keep disappearing to?
Where the hell have you been? Everywhere I look, you're not where I need you to be. It's not my imagination. Now, where the hell do you go every day?
Now, during the film, we all know where she is disappearing to. She's going to the restroom. The scene is incredibly emotive and very, very powerful.
There's no bathroom for me here.
What do you mean there's no bathroom for you here?
There is no bathroom. There are no colored bathrooms in this building or any building outside the West Campus, which is half a mile away. Did you know that? I have to walk to Timbuktu just to relieve myself. And I can't use one of the handy bikes. Picture that, Mr. Harrison. My uniform, skirt below my knees, my heels, and a simple string of pearls. Well, I don't own pearls. Lord knows you don't pay colors enough to afford pearls. And I work like a dog, day and night, living off of coffee from a pot none of you want to touch. And it's at that point where Kevin Costner's character, Al Harrison, just realizes just how ridiculous that seems. That there they are at NASA, they're trying to put a man up on the moon, and yet this woman is having to run half a mile to be able to use the toilet, and she can't even use the same coffee pot as everybody else. The next most powerful scene is him then quite literally smashing down the sign.
There you have it. No more colored restrooms. No more white restrooms. Just plain old toilets. Go wherever you damn well please. Preferably closer to your desk. Here at NASA, we all pee the same color.
I highly recommend anybody to watch it. If you like The Help, you will most definitely like Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures is based on actual events, and I'm going to insert some pictures here of the actual women themselves.
Running from the man, running from the badge. Don't act like you was there when you wasn't. Running toward our plans in the judge's hands. Don't act like you was there when you wasn't. I know they say crawl for you all, but in my mind I already jump. If I stand still, I cannot get far. They want the moon, I'm on Mars.
So I'm now going to carry on laying down some more stickers because I'm trying to condense my videos down a little bit. So I might now fast forward for you all because I'm pretty sure you all know about this particular sticker book. So I'll catch you on the other side.
Summertime in Virginia was an oven. All the kids eating ice cream with their cousins. I was studying while you was playing the dozens. Don't act like you was there when you wasn't. Running from the man, running from the badge. Don't act like you was there when you wasn't. Running toward our plans in the judge's hands. Don't act like you was there when you wasn't. I know they say crawl for you all, but in my mind I already jump. If I stand still, I cannot get far. They want the moon, I'm on Mars. Sometimes my mind dies deep when I'm running. I don't want no free ride. I'm just sick and tired of running. Some nights I cry, 'cause I can see the day coming. Together we'll fly. Oh, but no more running. You and I are no different from each other. Shut our eyes when you slumber. I see numbers. Black and white world computers. I am colored.
Now, in the film, there is many typewriters that can be seen, and not just typewriters, massive great big calculators. I'm not doing very well with peeling this back, am I? Now, there was one particular typewriter, and it was the IBM Selectric. That's nice. That looks good. So, in the typewriter world, the IBM Selectric typewriter was a complete and utter game changer. Now, whereas you've seen on my typewriters, Joan, they have the keys, and they're almost in kind of like a semicircle, and as you hit each key, the key then, I would say swipe, that almost seems like a modern term, but they leap up and they hit the ribbon and then the paper, and they, you know, they call them strokes, you know, that they stroke or strike onto the paper. Now, the IBM Selectric typewriter was completely different. Now, for a start, it had no carriage that moved. No carriage at all. So the paper went in, and where you put the paper, that was then it. It streamlined the process of lining up bits and pieces. All you did was put the paper in, and then you just worked out your margins and your tabs if you needed them. Now, it had this amazing, what is fondly known as the golf ball. And it's a rotating ball-shaped element.
Instead of type bars, there's an ingenious printing element that dances across the paper at incredible speed, faster even than the eye can see. Now watch in slow motion as it turns, tilts, and prints.
A standard typewriter, you would get whatever font that you paid for. Now, there were a few different fonts, so you can get, for example, cubic fonts. I've just actually had the pleasure of seeing a cubic font on a letter. I have a cursive typewriter, which makes everything look joined up. And then you get what I would call the standard font, which is, you know, kind of like in word processing terms, kind of like the serif sans, pretty kind of like box standard font. Now, these particular rotating balls came in a variety.
Simply remove one type style. Choose another from several distinctive typefaces and click it into place.
Now, you could have, so it was very, very small, so if you needed to write an awful lot, but on one piece of paper, you could have very, very small fonts. You could then have larger fonts, you could have cursive fonts, and what was quite important to, for example, NASA, they had scientific or mathematical fonts, so it had more mathematical symbols on them. This was incredibly important and such a game changer. And as you can see, the actors and actresses used this an awful lot during the film. And the people that made the film, they actually had to source these typewriters. They managed to find a gentleman in New York who specialises in having a stock amount of typewriters. Now, he doesn't have a vast amount, even though this IBM Selectric typewriter was the most popular and most manufactured typewriter. You hardly ever see them around. Now, this particular series, the Scalextric IBM typewriter, was retired in 1986. It spanned a long time. It first came out in 1961. Now, I will be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even know about this typewriter, even though when I've read about the history about it, it was by far one of the most successful typewriters out there, especially in business. Typewriters like these made a big difference to the working environment, and I would love to be able to see one of these typewriters. I've had a little look on eBay, and I've actually managed to find some of the typing rotating balls, but not the actual IBM Scalextric. I believe it was Model 1 she used in the film. There's some really huge cumbersome ones that would probably take up most of this particular shot, but I haven't been able to find that particular model. Here's all my notes about the typewriter and the cast and the film. See, I do my research. I do my research. I promise you I don't just sit here, as the Norfolk term would be, just talking squit. Oh, come on, Joan. In you come. Oh, she's so heavy. So, made a beautiful mistake there, but I'm all done for the week. So I hope that you've really enjoyed this. I will catch back with you next week. There's definitely going to be some bloopers. Take care and see you soon. Bye. Never has any charge. Stay. Rotating balls. Ooh, that sounds odd, doesn't it?